Hello, my name is Unai Vicente, and today I am presenting you the poster on our work in the University of Barcelona, and I hope you find it interesting. So without further ado, let me share the presentation. Here we go. So, and the research I'm presenting is part of my PhD thesis. It's supervised and co-authored by Dr. Josep Marco Pallares and Alberto Ara, who has given us important support with Bayesian methods. The title, I hope it speaks for itself. Do you lead or do you follow? Where we're trying to explain some aspects of the neurophysiological correlates of leaders and followers in an originally designed purely cooperative decision-making task. As per the introduction, I'd like to address a few things to start. Let's take the concept of conformity, which is described as to sacrifice one's vision in favor of a common goal. It has been classically studied in social psychology, but it's been more difficult to address it in neuroscience due to its holistic and also specific nature of the concept. Hence, we tried first to disentangle and separate this adjustment in pieces in order to recall to the literature from neuroscience. In a few words, adjusting behavior requires first the detection of the discrepancy between the performed actions and other sources of information, and in later, taking the appropriate course of action in order to correct this response. Research in neuroscience have identified a performance monitoring system, which has been especially prominent in feedback-related research, in conflict monitoring research, and so on. Despite this vast literature in the field, it has not been until recently, and thanks in part to dual person neuroscience, that role-related differences have begun to be explained. In our case, we are looking at different moments of interest in signal that could lead us to make interpretations inherited from literature on event-related potentials. At the same time, we're trying to search for time frequency dynamics that might be different between roles. And for this purpose, we propose a new experimental paradigm, which enables us to register data from two participants simultaneously. And we hypothesize there is a difference in signal related to difference in role. Far from literal conceptualizations on leading and following, we describe participant that is leading when they change less than their partner, or the other way around. We identify a participant's role as following if they are adjusting their responses more than their partners. So we go far from this conceptualization or classical conceptualization of leadership or following. We go straight to this point and no other point. At the end, we believe our experimental paradigm is capable of capturing these dynamics as well as reject or accept our hypothesis. Here you can see some quick facts around the sample. We have a randomly paired sample of 36 participants, which ended up being composed by 20 females and 16 males with a range of ages from 19 to 58, with a median of 24. In the lower parts of the poster, you can find the explanation on the pre-task and task. The pre-task is a set of assignments that dyads are asked to solve cooperatively prior to the main task. As you can see in this slide, there are different types of assignments as well as how we classify them and the estimated time of completion. And here we try to depict the most variable set of tasks possible between two persons. The aim of this part is a sort of pre-activation of cooperation among dyads before the main task, when no explicit instructions were given to cooperate. Once this part was completed, dyads were asked to go to another room to install the appropriate EEG equipment necessary for the main task. Here, subjects simultaneously participated in an estimation decision-making task. And in each trial, participants must guess the position where the red dot drops near the blue line, limited by random limits. For instance, in this figure, the line appears horizontally by random chance. It can be vertical as well. And the red dot drops somewhere between 20 and 60. Now, each participant indicates their estimated number of the position using a keyboard, sort of a keypad. And after it, they both had their first feedback where they could see each other's estimation. This procedure was repeated 3 consecutive times with the same stimuli for 100 different trials. So we end up having 3 feedbacks per trial that act as triggers at moments of display. Sorry. Let's continue with a few ideas on methods. So as it has been said, we registered EEG signal of 2 participants at the same time. We used a 32 sensor mount, but we ended up reducing it to 27 due to technical constraints. However, as we were interested in frontoparietal processes, we focused on the 3 central electrodes. The reason for that is that we hypothesized EEG components were highly associated to feedback-related neural correlates P200, P3A, and P3B. And because of it, we choose 3 different intervals in our ERP analysis. 230 to 270 milliseconds, 300 to 350 milliseconds, and 500 to 700 milliseconds. We used Bayesian multi-level modeling using signal or power in the case of time frequency analysis as the independent variable, and the feedback condition alone or interacting with a 2-level factor defining who's leading or following the trial as the dependent variable. We inform independent intercepts in a nested random structure with the subjects nesting under their respective diets. First thing we notice is diets naturally converge with our pre-activation and their responses tend to converge. Now, taking the advantage of the power of online presentations, we will go further to comment results one by one with the figures. As we can see in this figure, ERP analysis revealed a fronto-central topography in the first time interval after feedback with a reduction in the second and third repetitions compared to the first one. In addition, both P3A and P3B also presented a higher activations for the first repetition compared to the other ones. In this figure, we can see how there is also significant interaction effect related to who's leading the trial, with more amplitude variation for the leaders than for the followers from feedback 2 to feedback 1. Interestingly, the high variability in signal in first adjustment in followers and the lesser amplitude drop is explained by a higher sustained attention through repetitions in the trial. In other words, followers keep maintaining their attention through the feedback 2 and until the feedback 3, where it is significantly more negative than in leaders in the same adjustment. Moving into time frequency, there is an increased theta power, but it is exactly the same in leaders or followers. There's no significant differences among them. But there's a decreased alpha as well as a beta band in feedback 2 over feedback 1, which is more pronounced in followers. What's more, our data show a reduced beta power in participants following from the start, comparing to the participants leading. Finally, moving into the discussion, first thing I'd like to address is how we believe our proposed experimental paradigm induces conformity in diets, even when this was not explicitly stated nor rewarded. On the other hand, the ERP analysis showed significant differences in all studied ERP components and theta's oscillatory activity in the first adjustment, or between first and second feedback. We believe this to support the idea that frontoparietal executive and attentional networks are needed in order to evaluate the difference between one participant's action with the other, so they take the opportunity to change their behavior to reach conformity. Another key aspect of our research is how different ERPs were related to the degree of behavioral adaptation. Followers did not show significant difference between first and second feedback, indicating higher need of allocating cognitive resources in the second adjustment, second to third feedback, in order to accomplish a better convergence. On the contrary, participants leading the trial presented a decreased activity in the second feedback as they stopped allocating attentional resources needed to reach convergence earlier than their partners. Finally, we consider it has been proved that our proposed experimental paradigm opens up an opportunity to study social conformity without the need of game theory paradigms that oppose cooperation to competition. So this is all. Thanks very much for your attention. I hope you liked it. And here's my email address. I'd be glad if you decide to reach out. I would really, really, really appreciate the feedback. And that's all. See you around. I hope you enjoy the rest of the Congress. Bye-bye.